We had him as our player to watch in week 1 to see if he would step up, how he would perform on this Gankstars lineup. Absolutely showcased that he deserves to be there and has made this team a better team. Like, Gankstars is a better team than I think I have seen them be in many, many months.
Yeah, it was the question of, can he fill the shoes of Rekt? I don't think he's filled the shoes. I think he's kicked the shoes off the shelf and put his own there. He's saying,
he bought a new pair.
Exactly, yeah. He is looking to make his own legacy, and we'll see whether he can do that here today against Cloud9. The draft has begun. Already 20 seconds into the bonus time. Gankstars making sure they start the draft off strong. They need to have a good strategy coming in.
Yeah, I think they may start off with the typical Baron or Grumpjaw ban here, or if they want to target a captain and take it away from Vaynes. Looks like it's a no ban, or I think they're resetting here. But I think Gankstars, based on their history here, on A side they would ban Baron, and then on a second phase they banned Grace. They picked Lyra, Kestrel, Blackfeather, so they actually prefer Lyra over Grace based on yesterday's draft history.
So just to inform you guys, I'm just going to be restarting the draft. The client bugged slightly, so just making sure everything is fair game. Gankstars don't lose out on any time in the draft or anything like that, and going to be kicking it off once again. So all fair play here in the Vainglory8. We do not want to ruin the chances for a team, especially in a game as important as this one.
Yeah, and this one is massively important. We've already talked a little bit about the implications. They are going to go ahead and ban away the Baron. I really like the fact that they ban away the Baron because it forces Cloud9 to then say, all right, do we ban the Grumpjaw or do we go for after one of those other priority picks? And if the Grumpjaw is left open, we know Gankstars are more than happy to grab it.
Yeah, they're going to ban Baptiste, actually. And Gankstars here can pick Grace, Grumpjaw, or Lyra. One of those three, or even go with Vox and just take it off the board and not give that to Old School. So let's see what Gankstars decides here. But I know that Iraqi is very confident playing against a Vox because if he can get his hands on a Kestrel. So they're going to go ahead and actually pick that Vox and take it away from Old School. Now Cloud9 has Grumpjaw available. They have a Dodger. They have Grace available. So they're actually going to pick Grace into Vox, which to me is a little risky given the composition here. So let's see how this is going to pan out.
I have to say, across today specifically, when we looked at Europe, Grumpjaw really wasn't the power pick that we're used to seeing him be. When he did make it through drafts, he wasn't like this crazy influential win every game hero that we've been used to seeing the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the 2.6 nerf to Grumpjaw. Did take him down just a little bit, not really enough to make him an inviable pick or anything of that nature, but has taken him out of that, almost free win.
Yeah, not that
status.
tyrant that he used to be, certainly. But it is going to be Adagio and Kestrel band away, and Koshka locked in for I Love Joseph, which kind of taking that away from Xenotech. We know Xenotech likes his Koshka.
Yeah, for sure. And Koshka, Grace is extremely strong. So here I think Gankstars will probably take Arden or Lyra here and then pair it with potentially Samuel or CP Blackfeather because Baptiste is banned. Or they may even go CP Grumpjaw. Yep, they're probably going to pick the Grumpjaw here and then potentially Lyra will come out here. Or they may go with the Finn to counter, or Lance to counter the Grace. So let's see what they're going to decide on. But I think Lyra, Finn, and Lance are probably going to be the three that they're going to land on here potentially. So let's see what they decide.
You definitely need something that can kind of protect your backline with the composition that they're going to be going up against. 51 seconds still to decide. So they've got time to think this one through, Bacon.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to try and figure out what they want to round this out with. I would expect this to be a jungle Grumpjaw because Xenotech is the one that has been playing it the most. So that would leave this pick to Vaynes. Wouldn't be surprised if we do see a Lyra come out as the final pick. It gives them a little bit of sustain, has the heal to try and help against the healing coming out from the Grace, and can do a little bit of work to shut down a Koshka and a Grace, stop their mobility.
Yeah, and I think from the side of Cloud9, they'll probably end up with Glaive, potentially. Weapon Power Lane Glaive, or even a Gwen, but I think it's going to be either Glaive, Idris, or Gwen here. And Lyra's going to come out as expected, so it definitely is going to be... oh, they're actually going with Ringo. Wow. This is the first time I've seen Ringo come out in a long time.
Yeah. I want to say this is the first Ringo we've seen in the Vainglory8 this season. I'm not 100% convinced.
I think we have seen one, but it was
maybe off stream
early in week 1, I think we saw one, but...
Definitely not a common pick, though. That's the key thing here. Ringo, very much a fringe pick, and Iraqi Zoro, you know, he's the guy that likes to go with these fringe picks. He's a guy that really likes to strut his stuff when he gets onto the main stage. So we could be looking at a very a planned out pick here, and maybe a pick that they're looking to go against something specifically.
The reason they're looking for this Ringo is early game, it has a lot of pressure. It has the range, it has the burst damage with the Achilles shot. You pair that with a Grace and a Koshka, they're going to be looking to dominate the lane early on.
All right, so compositions in check then. How are we feeling about this? What are going to be the game plans coming in?
I think with Cloud9 synergy and with Ringo countering Vox, actually, definitely in the early and mid-game phases, and with Koshka and Grace, that's a super strong early and mid-game composition to have. I think Cloud9 is going to take this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 has the advantage with this draft. As long as they can win this early game and continue to keep that pressure up, they can do a lot of great things to stop this Grumpjaw and Vox from being able to take over.
All right, well, we're confident in the Ringo pick here on the analyst desk. It's time to get into our first North American semi-final. Get involved using the hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know who you are supporting today. But it's time to pass it over to our casters and get onto the Halcyon Fold.
Well, holy Nova, Scoundrel. It looks like we're going to have a pretty crazy matchup here. And we might have had maybe some miscalculations as we try to load into that game there.
I believe one of the players might have been AFK at the start of that game, just waiting for him to return. So we'll get into the game as soon as we physically can, but let's have a touch on those compositions, Humanist. Oh.
Well, you know what? We could break it down, but people don't want to hear us memeing. Let's throw it back to the analyst desk just for a second here.
Hello again, everyone. Fancy
hey.
seeing you here. We're
Been
back.
a while.
A little bit of a delay getting the game started, so we're just going to chat to you guys a little bit more before we jump on to this one. But Cloud9 versus Gankstars. In case anyone missed it, we've just had our draft. We've just got our compositions locked in, and we're going to be jumping onto the fold as soon as we can. This is definitely going to be an interesting game. The stakes are very high for this one. I was going to pass it over to you guys to talk about it, but apparently the game is ready. So I'm going to pass it over to our casters once again.
Fold has begun.
Well, we'll have some divine intervention and save you from our analysts and actually get into the game. And it's me, Humanist, here with the Scoundrel. This is going to be Cloud9 Gankstars' pretty lit matchup. And coming into with these drafts, I think it's going to be really fun as well. We get to see a little Ringo.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a Ringo. Like you said, starting all over was the guy that often put that on his radar. Love that Gankstars is going to force Gabe Rizzle out just a little bit. They've isolated him on their side of the jungle here. And actually, they're basically allowing Xenotech to invade with a double weapon blade early on against the Koshka. That gives them a lot of duel and trade potential, especially at level 1. And it's going to be literally Lyra versus Gabe Rizzle over on that backside of the jungle for those guys. This is just all over the place. Everybody is all over the place right now between these
This game is a meme already. Gabe was able to take the mids from Gankstars, but Vanes grabs the back region there. Now Xenotech is going to find Gabe. He'll use his boots, get himself out of there. What a funny start to this game. I'm really enjoying it so far. Hopefully we continue and maybe see some aggression. I mean, obviously early on, with the Grumpjaw, with the Lyra, we expect them to apply pressure, but with the Grace, we're still figuring things out. Gabe Rizzle taking a lot of damage. He's going to jump back in there with that benediction. Xenotech's the one taking a lot of damage. Your Grumpjaw can't stand his ground. First blood, Cloud9.
And that was all because I Love Joseph got a lot of experience in the early portion. They're going to get another
Second
kill.
blood, Cloud9.
Over onto Vanes. And now the NA Koshka comes back to haunt them as it comes through. Very, very early pressure as well because she hit level 2 again. Xenotech spent a long time trying to invade by himself at the very start of the game. I believe Joseph must have got the back camps because he did get level 2 before Xenotech, and then Xenotech had yet to get much experience on the map anywhere. And then obviously that resulted in him being level 1 when that duel came to take place. So just a misplay that basically should have been Xenotech probably giving up and starting. In fact, I would Joseph might get caught out here.
Will Joseph ever be caught out? Yes, he will. He goes down. Joseph, man, I thought he had it all calculated there, but he goes down at the end. Now, Gankstars have the numerical advantage. 3-on-2 as they fight for the mids here. Old School drop down, trying to back up Gabe. And they're not going to be able to grab the mid. That actually goes over to Vanes. They secured that. Gankstars, do they take the front, or they just get the Elder Treant and make their own rotation?
But also, right at the start of this game, you saw Old School absolutely just destroy Iraqi Zoro in a trade at level 1, because that is what Ringo has just got the range advantage. The critical strike that he gets guaranteed after killing a minion means you can kill a minion, basic attack the enemy hero, kill a minion, basic attack the enemy hero, and they can't actually trade into that very well, especially when you have the range disadvantage like Vox does. So, you know, Ringo's designed to have that dominance over Vox in the lane, and Old School really put that to practice at level 1 and put some pressure onto Iraqi Zoro. Actually himself knowing this and started the cloth armor, but even with that cloth armor took a real punishment. Has kept up in CS though, Humanist, so that's the main thing. Went back to base, still remains even Stevens with Old School in lane, although actually Old School, now I said that, is now 10 ahead. So
I'm like, yo, bro.
Yeah, that didn't last very long. But
At least you're not a doctor.
Were,
that's okay. We don't have to worry about things like that, right?
They were 18 apiece when I was thinking about the point, and then I actually turned around and then I looked at it now. But actually, now he's 10 ahead, so that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's all right. We forgive you. That never happened, guys. But Old School, I mean, he's one of the best Vox players out there. I think he's definitely one of the top Voxes. So, you know, when he sees it, he knows what he struggles with. Of course, Iraqi is definitely historically one of the best Ringos, but as far as things stand right now, I think Old School probably picks this up knowing that, as you said, he does have these advantages over the Vox, and he's going to look to abuse those. Doing a pretty good job so far. We'll see. Iraqi will be behind in farm. That means his first item or two will be delayed as well.
Iraqi also picked up the Poison Shift. This is like a standard go-to item for Voxes now in a lot of scenarios, but even more so comes through in this case because you have the Grace there. Not only is it going to limit the single target healing of the Fountain, which Grace will get before level 6, but then post level 6 will also limit Grace's ability to land a full strength Divine Intervention heal onto a target that she so chooses. So it is a good item to pick up in this scenario, just like it's good to pick it up against a Lyra as well on the other side of things. Whether we see Old School do that after his Sorrow Blade remains to be seen. He might go a critical strike based build, he might pick up a breaking point, but you know, a Poison Ship wouldn't go far amiss against the Lyra here.
Well, he has the sustain, but it's Old School that has really the massive damage output. And we'll see, they have to respect this. Old School with the range and damage output advantage. At this point, C9 just gonna have to pick and choose what they want to take off the map. And currently is just accumulating resources, continuously taking away the mids, the fronts if they can. You see, I love Joseph though. Level 5 here, he's not really powered leveled. I think he's got your standard kind of average leveling going on. It would be nice if he was basically hitting level 6 right now.
I wonder if he's going towards a Shatterglass on this Koshkin, by the way, because Xenotech is not known for building a lot of defensive itemization on his jungle carries early on. You can see he's got tension bow, he's got a bit of cloth, a bit of light armor there, but he's not known for building huge amounts of early defensive itemization. I wonder if he's just going Shatterglass to just provide the most flat amount of burst possible, so that even if they are focusing Xenotech, they can get the damage down when necessary. Just because he has picked up the Heavy Prism alongside the Eclipse Prism and the Chronograph there, so he could still go towards Aftershock, but there is always the potential for him to go to a Shatterglass here.
I'd like to think he did it just so we had something to talk about here, as both teams will finally converge on each other once again. What is it?
I was laughing because actually I was going to start talking about, in a minute, I was going to start talking about the Lyra pick and how good it is into the likes of Koshka and Grace, and whether they, Gankstars can make this work in the later game to try and protect the Vox from that engage from Lyra and Koshka. But I guess, itemization with Shatterglass is something fun to talk about too.
It is. Definitely is. We'll see. As time goes on, I mean, do you have a preference on that? Obviously, you said it might have some strengths. Is that what you would do?
No, I think I'd still prefer Aftershock. Just simply because I know that Grumpjaw is going to get tankier as the game goes on. I guess he's going to pick it up at some point. So, I mean, maybe if C9 are looking to snowball, then the Shatterglass would allow them to put more pressure onto Iraqi Zoro, who's not going to really think about shielding itemization soon. Both of which are good, but no, he finishes the Aftershock. I much prefer this just because of the fact that Grumpjaw is still Grumpjaw. You still have to worry about him in the front line.
Yeah.
He will still be hard to take down. I prefer the Aftershock.
I definitely do as well. And once again, C9 jumping in. They do find that Holy Nova onto Xenotech, but he's going to turn around stuffed up as they move forward and try to find a target, but it's not actually working out. Yummy Catnip Frenzy's going to go ahead and lock him down for a second. Old School kiting back, turns, finds the damage. Hellfire Brew is going to come out, target it onto Iraqi. Should be melting him down. But there you go, a little Lyra heal. Keeps Gankstars in fighting shape, and nobody actually goes down off the back of that.
Oh, okay. That particular team fight, Gankstars had two distinct options available to them. You take out a member and then continue the fight 2 versus 3, or you take out a member, you retreat with that member to your Crystal Sentry and basically secure a kill onto that one particular person.
Joseph taking a lot of damage. He's down. Xenotech sniffed him out. He was just sitting in that top brush. He just got melted.
Well, good presence by Xenotech there. Makes up for that decision that they could have either made to go towards their Crystal Sentry, or they could have gone, like they said, forcing that 2 versus 3. But again, the retreat from Vainglory8 managed to allow Old School the time to back out of that scenario. But Xenotech makes up for it, picks up the kill himself. And you might be wondering why you've got 2 weapon power carries here on the side of Gankstars. It's not going to be a full weapon power carry on Grumpjaw. It will be an on-hit Grumpjaw. Basically, what you often tend to see here, in place of Storm Crown on Grumpjaw, you'll end up going Tension Bow Aftershock, which gives you a little bit extra on-hit damage and sacrificing the cooldown reduction that the Storm Crown would bring to the table. So it gives you a bit more burst damage, maybe a little bit less consistent, but a little bit more burst damage for Xenotech. And you can also see Iraqi Zoro picks up a Tension Bow as well, Humanist, which is something that you might find, and a lot of people might find quite odd, but Tension Bow is just a really good item.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think it's odd. I think it makes sense. What do you think? Breaking Point next? What's he do?
I like Breaking Point. Breaking Point will allow him to have longevity in team fights. Sorrow Blade will allow him to consolidate on his burst and also link up with Xenotech's burst, but it's a build that will fall off Vox as the game progresses. So I much prefer the Breaking Point, but obviously he has the option to go for something like a Tyrant's Monocle. He can go for a Sorrow Blade. Depends on what they want to achieve. Looks like it could be either. I'm very much likely thinking it's going to be Breaking Point, because you do want to have some longevity in teamfights. We've got a little teamfight breaking out here. Looks like Gabriel will have to use the boots to back out.
Yeah, whiffs that Holy Nova. It's going to be the Arcane Passage forward. Vane's not really finding the connection he was looking for. And C9, Gankstars, both kind of swing and a miss on that one.
I like the Tension Bow on Vox as well, because not only does it basically synergize with if both Xenotech and Vox is focusing the same target, especially with double squishy. You've got to remember that this is Ringo and Koshka. This is a fairly squishy composition. You're going to want to try and burst before Grace can get the heal off, or burst, before she can get some damage reduction down. So that is something that you do have to consider here. Also, Ringo picks up the Poison Shiv. There we go, Humanist. He is considering that in his build path because he's just so good against Lyra.
Yeah, definitely a good pickup for him. Yeah, we see items coming together for everybody. Atlas Pauldrons on both captains. We'll see if they can go ahead and apply those onto the opposing carries. But right now it's Old School taking the turret down. Iraqi Zoro will finally jump onto him. Mortal Wound applied as they chase forward here. Can they find the damage? Old School still alive. The fountain gets him. Xenotech's going to be stuffed up at the end of it. Joseph showed up. Iraqi's down. Old School will go down at the end of it. They traded 1 for 1. Now looking for more. Who's it going to be? Yummy Cat and Frenzy out onto Xenotech, but he's so tanky. Stands his ground. He's out of there. Grumpy, get your butt out of there. Gets a heal. Can he get boosted? He's so boosted by Vane's, not boosting enough. He goes down. I know Vane's is here. Gabe, Joseph, they don't quite want to chase. Joseph low on energy there. A nice fight for C9.
Yeah, no shielding as well on Xenotech, or very little shielding. You get a little bit from the armor, the coat of face there, but you don't get a lot of shield from it, and that just means that either Joseph's still able to rip through Xenotech if he doesn't have that living armor fully stacked, and also C9 getting a global out of it in the form of a tier 1 turret. So all in all, a good trade for them, capitalizing on some sort of poor rotations from Gankstars, and knowing that Gankstars were down there clearing scout traps around the jungle, they knew they had the opportunity with Ringo having sort of the Sorrow Blade and the Poison Shift, now so the attacks there as well, able to just run and take that tier 1 very, very quickly. I Love Joseph also picked up the Broken Myth now too.
Oh, that's a huge pickup for him. I was going to say, isn't that just like the worst feeling when you're in the jungle and you look up and you realize you're going to be too late to defend that turret?
Oh, absolutely. But there's something you have to be aware of as a professional team. You've got to be aware that if you leave someone out of lane and the enemy has stacked the wave in their favor, I'm just going to shove that and take that so quickly. And with Ringo having Twirling Silver to give him a self-attack speed steroid, I mean, turrets go down in a matter of seconds. You do always have to respect what Ringo can bring to the table in terms of single target damage and also structure taking capability. But you rightly said, big item for I Love Joseph now, because Xenotech doesn't have a huge amount of armor, a huge amount of shielding. Iraqi Zoro doesn't have a huge amount of shielding, and also Xenotech is a very easy stack target for Broken Myth stacks for I Love Joseph. So, but yeah, it's a massive item for him. He's going to be chunking out huge amounts of damage, but he also is quite squishy in his own right, Humanist.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that's also kind of why we've seen in these fights, he's not always the one to start the fight, or the fight's even going on for a few seconds before he jumps in. Gabe's done a pretty good job to just be that front line for his team. So Joseph's been in and out of there. But we have 2 infusions. I mean, Joseph's infusion running out. Iraqi is running out right now as well. But Old School, that's going to be active for a little bit longer.
I actually think Grace is really good against burst-orientated builds like the Tension Bow Aftershock build, just simply because even when you start channeling the Divine Intervention, you get a 40% damage reduction in your target. So it makes it very likely that you can survive that burst damage and then bring a giant heal to the table, which is why I really like... Oh, big fight.
Always big in there with the Hellfire Brew. They just turn and start chunking Iraqi down. Iraqi melted off the top of that, and Old School just stands his ground. He's actually not scared. Tries to take the Arcane Passage, gets trolled. Xenotech goes down anyway to Joseph and Gabe. And it's going to be Vains trying to get himself out of here. Does get the Sigil. Joseph's got to drop that Crystal Sentry aggro. He does. He jumps right back in, using that move speed to his advantage. Massive fight for C9. They take the ace. Crystal Sentry is not even on the menu. They go straight for the turret.
I think Iraqi Zoro is severely overestimating the amount of burst damage he has in his kit. He ran straight at Ringo to go to the backline, to Old School to go to the backline. Old School turned around, blew him up. Old School was like, what are you doing, Iraqi? He just sat there, twirling silver activated, and Ringo, especially when you compare these two builds side by side, a Ringo is always going to outdamage a Vox, even at the beginning of a team fight, just because of the flat damage that Ringo can put out with twirling silver. Iraqi Zoro got deleted there, and to add to the fact that Gabe Bizzle, as soon as he saw Iraqi Zoro move, started channeling the ultimate at the beginning of the fight, which meant that Old School had a 40% damage reduction in that 1v1 duel with Iraqi.
Yeah.
That's what Good Graces will do as well, Humanists. Good Graces won't wait until the carry has already started taking damage. Good Graces will anticipate damage onto a carry, use the heal before that damage comes in, so that when the damage does come in, you both reduce the damage and then heal the remainder up regardless.
Absolutely, it's so good. I mean, I could see where maybe he got baited in because the Hellfire Brew was being channeled up, but ultimately they were just a little late to commit on that. C9 moving forward. It appears they want to go for this Crystal Sentry. Gangstar's not really in a good position to do anything about this, and that's going to go down. 2 lives remaining here, but Gangstar's not even thinking about contesting.
Don't think they can at this point, unfortunately. You also have to be aware of the fact that if you want to make that kind of move to the backline, Humanist, I believe you should engage with Xenotech first, get the stuffed, and then try and make a move as a joint, almost pincer attack force onto one of the members that you want to blow up, like Old School. You can't do it in the process of getting stuffed landed. You've got to do it as a unit. That's a Crucible used early on here by Gabe Bizzle, but again, Gangstar's not in a position to contest it. They are just too far behind at this point.
Yeah, they're playing very carefully. I can't blame them. They're definitely on the back foot right now. But the question is, like, at what point do you make your stance? At what point do you try and actually make a fight happen? C9, they're in a great position right now. They have vision around the middle area of the map. They're just rotating as a unit right now, making sure they get all that ambient gold down. And I just don't know. For Gankstars, like you said, it's so tough for them to engage, but they're definitely not going to catch C9 by surprise.
No, and I think Xenotech's build path, as you can see, this is an early game focused build path. This Tension Bow Aftershock, it's supposed to snowball from the early game. It does not function as a high damage output sort of build path when you get towards the later stages, especially against the Grace Humanist, especially as the levels pile on, the base stats go up, and Grace gets more and more powerful. This is going to only fall off, and actually, look at this. Gankstars, due to vision and inability to face check that neutral area in the middle of the map, did a free uncontested Kraken straight over to C9. Crazy how far ahead C9 can make you feel.
It really is crazy. I feel like Gankstars need to turn it up here. The problem is, though, when you have a composition like this where, okay, with Vox, this is outranged by Ringo, right? So when you jump on him, you have to like commit, and that's why they went with the burst damage build, also in the Grumpjaw. But against the Grace, it's really hard, like, because she can just stand her ground, throw the Holy Nova, and like, what are you gonna do? You also have to deal with Yummy Catnip Frenzy coming in. Nice Bright Bulwark here. Hellfire Brew's going to connect. Xenotech's locked down, taking a lot of damage. Can he survive through this? He's down he's dead before the fight even really begins. And now you got to be careful. Get back, Iraqi. Zoro taking damage. He's trying to sustain through it. Iraqi's down as well. This is just a disaster for Gankstars. Vains. You'll have some time to think about what you've done wrong. But this looks like C9 should pretty much just close this game out.
This is game over right here, right now, Humanist. C9, 17 minutes against very tough opponents, Gankstars. He just rolled through, and this all stemmed from the fact that they took a set of builds that were designed to snowball in the early game, designed to sort of capitalize on the fact that they had fantastic burst damage. Against the Grace, I don't know if that's the right way to play it. like you're going to get to a point where Grace gets at least 2 points in the ultimate, and then suddenly your burst becomes pointless, and 3 points in the ultimate makes it even worse. So I would have much preferred to see Iraqi Zoro go a standard stacking breaking point Vox build, kite with the Lyra, kite off the engages from Gabe, Bizzle, and Maya Joseph, and then when Vox does what Vox does best, gets those breaking point stacks up, then turns around, turns that trigger on, use the stuff at that point. So I don't know, I just don't know if that kind of build was good against Grace.
Man, yeah, we could talk about this for days. I don't know, what do you guys think over at the desk? Was this a build thing? Was it a playstyle thing? Maybe mistakes made? Munchables, Sweet J Bacon, break this down for us.
I feel like it might have been a Cloud9 thing on that one. Cloud9
Yeah.
looking incredibly strong.
You know
Excanshaw
when you want to
apparently
say
agreeing with me on that one. But yeah, so very solid game coming out from Cloud9. They managed to take the victory and kind of using, you know, that Koshka to great effect. We saw Koshka really coming into her own under the watchful eye of I Love Joseph. Going to be able to take that game for themselves, and Gankstars struggling to get onto the board on that one. Gankstars, a team that we know for early aggression, but weren't really able to make that work out for them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they played the early game really well. They got 2 kills in the early game, and, you know, Koshka, Grace, so dominant in that jungle. Gankstars did a really cool rotation, sealing the outer treant, the mid-outer treant there, and some very interesting rotations that I saw that came out. It was really fun to watch, but however, like I said, Cloud9 just snowballed that early game, and you look at Old School, he was 20 CS ahead for most of the game, so he definitely outplayed Iraqi. Xenotech missed a lot of critical Koshka stuns. He missed reflex block and used reflex blocks too early and got stunned, I think, 2 or 3 times in the middle of some crucial fights. So Cloud9 just really outplayed them from a team fight perspective. They're just superior in the team fights for right now versus Gankstars.
Yeah, and you have to bring into question the Grumpjaw versus Koshka matchup, surely, because theoretically Grumpjaw wins that, but that just wasn't the case.
If it's a full weapon Grumpjaw, then Grumpjaw wins that, but when it's the on-hit or crystal Grumpjaw, Koshka actually has the advantage there because she just has a lot more damage, can run around the Grumpjaw and make it really difficult for him to actually stick onto a target. And that was one of the really cool things about this Cloud9 composition was their mobility and their ability to then prevent Vox and Grumpjaw from having that mobile advantage that we normally see them get.
Yeah, so now we're looking at Gankstars specifically. We're in a bit of an uncomfortable position here. We'll be able to take a look at one of the fights in a little bit more detail so we can go into this a little bit more. But it definitely felt like Gankstars in a few of those fights, as Greg mentioned, that this was a high mobility comp and Cloud9 were kind of running circles around them. I want to see the compositions change moving into the next game. I want to see a bit of a difference, and I want to see Gankstars come back into this series. We want to have close semifinals like we did in Europe today. We'll see if that is going to be the case as we move on with the series. But Greg is ready with the Telestrator.
So one of the things I actually really want to focus on with this team fight, the team fight itself was really well played by Cloud9, but that's not actually where the focus here is going to be. I want to be looking at the rotations from Cloud9 and the way they set up for their objective play. Before that team fight even broke out, Cloud9 was up in the lane. All 3 members were up there making sure that they got the minions pushing towards the enemy base. They had already taken out this first turret, and then were looking to take the second turret. After going ahead and winning that team fight, they had the minions pushing up, and because they set that rotation up beforehand, they cleared out the wave, had about a wave and a half of minions that were moving towards Gangstar's side, so they knew the wave was pushing in their favor. Then they went ahead, won that team fight, and because of the ace coming through, they already had minions essentially at the second turret before they even finished off that fight. So they get the ace buff minions come through, and it's a very quick, easy rotation up to the lane. That's one of the things that Cloud9 does so well, is setting themselves up to take objectives off of team fights, and it's because of premeditated decisions like they made here. And we're going to see just exactly how quickly they were able to take that turret after winning the ace.
Yeah, so Sweetjay, do you want to run us through the situation in a little bit more micro detail?
Yeah, this is where they won the team fight. Grumpjaw actually eats Grace, but Cloud9 is so aggressive that they basically get Iraqi low, delete him, and then they have to then back off the fight. And you can see there, as soon as they get the ace, the minions are already on the turret.
That was the situation, as we'll be able to bring up Sweet J's mic again in a second. So unfortunately, I could hear your beautiful analysis of that fight, but I'm not sure the audience could. But yeah, we saw them win out the fight and then move up to the turret.
As soon as they got the ace, you can see the ace minions literally were like, oh, turret, here you go. As soon as they got the ace minions are on the turret, and they quickly take the objective, and then they take the sentry. So that setup for the objective play allows them to take more objectives, not just a turret from an ace, but on top of that, the sentry and potentially set up for a gold mine, and then even allow them time to set up vision, etc. So Cloud9 just knows when to pick their fights and when not to pick their fights.
Yeah, and like I said, they set up to pick those fights. They had all 3 members in the lane. They clear the wave, push it in, and then all 3 of them rotate down looking for a fight specifically. It's such clean play that not many other teams are doing those kinds of maneuvers and those kinds of rotations right now.
Yeah, it's very difficult to catch up to these very top teams, but the draft is underway. It's going to be Baron taken away by Cloud9, and Gankstars going to be looking at this second ban. A lot available right now. They actually got Grumpjaw last game, but it just was not enough for them. We'll see what they're going to go for in the ban. And once again, just like in game 1, actually biting into their bonus time before going for that first ban, making sure that they've considered all options.
All right, they're gonna ban Voxer and give Grace over to Cloud9. Again, they're not respecting the Grace here. It's like EU teams not respecting the Grace and how strong she is, given a team of caliber like Cloud9 and their synergy late game in terms of their team fight. This is a very dangerous draft here by Gankstars to just give Grace again to Cloud9. We saw Gabe land like 3-man Holy Novas with Grace too, so this is very dangerous.
And we did see Grace, have some weaknesses in Europe. Mousesports was able to take it down, but that was with a Vox. And so Gankstars just kind of banned away one of the big counters to Grace. So it's going to be a difficult task for them. There are still some picks they can grab that can work well against the Grace. The Kestrel we saw did fairly well, but what else are they going to pick up that will have that sort of range and mobility? There aren't many options.
Yeah, I don't understand the Adagio ban here. Adagio Grumpjaw is such a strong combination. They just ban it against themselves. I guess they want to deny Adagio Grace, but still, you should take the Adagio, and you need to run Grumpjaw's weapon power unless you're going to give them Koshka again. And so this is, again, a very questionable draft by Gankstars here. And I think Cloud9 is probably going to ban away potentially Baptiste or something that they think Gankstars may want to pick up to counter the Grace pick here.
And if you really want to deny the Adagio from Cloud9, why not make that your first ban instead of the second ban, and then say, okay, let the Vox go through perhaps? I know that's a great pick for old school, but so is pretty much everything. So it's I don't know. I'm with Suijay on this one. I think it's a very strange decision to go ahead and ban away the Vox, let the Grace go through, take Grumpjaw, and then not give yourself the opportunity to run Grumpjaw Adagio.
Yeah, we've really not seen that much at all today. In fact, at all today. Lyra is going to be the other ban, but then Koshka locked in, so this could well be a Captain Grumpjaw coming through Gankstars.
Looks like Captain Grumpjaw, but, I mean, against Koshka, Baptiste, this was like the original purpose of Baptiste in London, was when your opponent has a Koshka, grab Baptiste. Now Cloud9 have done that with a Grace at their side as well. This Koshka is going to struggle.
Koshka is going to struggle a little bit into the Baptiste, but alongside a Glaive, this is the composition that we were talking about. They've got the Grace, Baptiste, and Glaive that can just obliterate team fights. The pick potential of this composition and the snowball ability of these 3 in conjunction is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I think they might go for Kestrel here and do a weapon Kestrel potentially, given how Iraqi is so proficient on that. But this is the meta dive composition from Cloud9. Grace, Baptiste, and Glaive, triple stun composition. They have Ordained there. They have a Fear. I mean, they have so much going on their side to really just delete and lock Koshka down, because Koshka can't jump in against Baptiste or Glaive. She just has to play very careful here.
Not only that, but Grumpjaw, if he's going in for a stuffed, if he eats Baptiste, he should be met with an afterburn. If he eats Glaive, he should be Ordained. And so it's going to be one of the advantages Cloud9 can have here, or sorry, Gankstars can have here, is that if Cloud9 is going to be holding those crowd control effects for the Grumpjaw, then that will allow a little bit of opportunity for the Koshka to try and maneuver around this fight and whoever else they do pick to finish off this composition. But it's a matter of, is Cloud9 going to bother saving those crowd control abilities for the Stuffed?
That is going to be the question. Well, the final pick, I can inform you guys, is going to be Idris for the likes of Gankstars. The draft obviously not quite finished that one off, but I can confirm that that was the pick coming on through. So, oh, there it is. It pops up at the last second. But Gankstars, definitely a very aggressive composition as well. We could see a lot of very messy toe-to-toe fights between these two teams. There's a lot of melee in this game.
Yeah, for sure, but I think Glaive actually beats Idris because of his natural crit. He's tanky. Idris just excels against really squishy mages and lane carries, and Glaive is not a squishy lane carry. So I feel like it's going to be dependent on who gets ahead on farm, and we saw from last game, Old School was 20+ CS ahead of Iraqi Zoro. So if Old School stays ahead, he's going to be able to outscale Iraqi, and Glaive's going to win against Idris here for sure.
Yeah, the team fights are going to look very chaotic just because there are so many melee heroes, but it's going to be controlled chaos from both of these teams because they're both going to know exactly what they want to do. It's just going to be a matter of who can actually execute it. If someone does accidentally lose track of their character, which is very easy to do when you have 4 heroes all kind of clumped up from both sides, you can sort of lose track of your own and your teammates. You know, the health bars become all jumbled.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the big concerns is, are they going to be able to remain focused during these melee brawls?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult mechanical team fights. We'll see if Cloud9 has what it takes to take this one to 2-0, or if Gankstars can come back into this one. Let us know who you are supporting with that hashtag Vainglory8. But it's time to jump into the map once again.
Oh, that's right, everybody. We're here with Cloud9 versus Gankstars, Game 2 in this series. And Cloud9, pretty dominating performance in the first match. Let's see if things can turn around. Seemed like a suspect draft from what our analysts were saying, Scoundrel, as far as what we're going to expect here.
Gabe Bizzolati again, by the way. You're just going to the back to try and steal something away. Has those boots for the movement speed. Grace, one of the highest movement speeds in the game, can get away fairly easily. We'll use the A just to get out of there. But yeah, I think looking at the drafts, it's interesting because I think Idris is exactly as Suijay was saying. Idris far better at dealing with squishier targets. Gabe Bizzle trying to steal away the forward camp there, but will be forced away by Vanes, who gets it himself. Does deny a bit of experience over to Xenotech, though. Does mean that Xenotech might struggle to get level 2, which is all very important when coming to fight this middle Treant, or the Xenotech is very close to hitting level 2 himself, so.
Interesting engagement. Vanes is taking a lot of damage here. You got to be careful, bud. And Old School's here. Gets the afterburn. Vanes, he's back into a bad place. He should go down one more basic attack. There you go. It's going to go the way of Old School, I believe. No, you got to get out of here. Xenotech has the move speed and should be able to, but a nice first blood for Cloud9, and that seems almost too easy. It was like, oh, would you like a first blood? Here you go.
And do you know what was so good about the way that Cloud9 did that is that it all came from Gabe just being aggressive in the jungle, being super aggressive on the forward healing Treant, which did delay Xenotech's level 2 ever so slightly, which meant that when the initial engage took place, I love Jason was already level 2, Xenotech had to take a little while to get there, and already had that net advantage to start with C9. On Old School's rotation down to that team fight around the other Treant was so quick and so good that he then isolated Vanes, who was only level 1, which meant it was so easy for them to just then capitalize and take down Vanes to get first blood. And you're right, you know, that was basically just gifted over to C9. I think looking compositionally, Idris is very good against, you know, low health targets that he can burst really quickly, like a Vox, like a Ringo, you know, these ranged carries that he can stick to so easily with his ultimate. When it comes to a Glaive, when it comes to Grace, when it comes to Batiste, who's got a lot of sustain in his kit as well, I think Idris might struggle. You know, especially when you're trying to use your ultimate on a target that has been hit by the holy divine intervention from Grace. You know, you might struggle as an Idris to actually get work done. Look at this aggressive invading by C9.
Yeah, that back's actually going to go the way of C9. Joseph picking that one up. Xenotech just running out from base, full HP. He can't do anything. He's forced out again. So C9, they can choose to do whatever they want across the map right now. They're in full control. And we see it's going to be Iraqi trying to get over onto Cloud9 side of the map. Scout traps popped, so C9 know exactly what's going on. Vanes is with Iraqi right now. Let's see if they try to teleport out or walk across the map. They will run into each other if they do walk.
And teleport back. Vane's actually going to back off here. We'll be able to get out, but again, net advantages being handed to C9 on a plate. It was all very well stealing the forward healing Treant, but you don't get the backs. You give the Elder Treant straight over to C9 again, and net experience advantages starting to open up for them. Level 4, on both I Love Joseph and Old School, one level over Iraqi and Xenotech at this point in time, and it's actually almost a full level advantage if you look at the experience bars between I Love Joseph and Xenotech right now. Joseph nearly 4.5, Xenotech only just now approaching 4, so
Brutal.
He just completely dominated this early jungle again. Gabe Vizzle and I Love Joseph, the duo in the jungle, able to consistently apply pressure to Xenotech, stop Koshka's early aggression as well. And like I said, Batiste is a pick that is picked often into Koshka because of the Ordained. Koshka is a carry that thrives on her mobility from her heroic perk. She thrives on being able to dip and dive through the fight, use heroic perk to CC. You throw an Ordained on her, suddenly she's stuck in one place, and that makes Koshka a very easy target.
Yeah, it's obviously very good. Ordained's down onto Iraqi. Iraqi takes a lot of damage. Afterburn back into Old School. How about one more attack right there and another kill? He's gonna get a double kill! They will lose Old School at the end of it, but he trades it 2 for 1 in a phenomenal fight for C9 as Gankstars just kind of get rounded up and caught there. It almost felt like they didn't know what to do.
And what I really like about the combo between Glaive and Batiste, and you saw it there exactly, is you can basically afterburn them out of Batiste's Ordained, which gets you the damage and also the extra stun on there as well. No, you get stunned at the end of the afterburn anyway, but you get an extra little bit of stun from the Ordained, so you get a nice combo there. And also, if you saving your reflex block for the Ordained, you won't be able to save your reflex block for the aftershock, the afterburn, and that runs one way or the other. So you won't be able to save your block for the afterburn if you're saving your block for the Ordained, and so on and so forth. So the combo is really nice between I Love Joseph and Old School in that respect. And given how squishy these targets are of both Iraqi Zoro, and it's going to be so easy for the plays off the back of the Ordained, continuously easy for Gabe Vizzle to jump into the backline to set things up as well. I think the draft is just so much better from C9 again.
Another stun's gonna land onto Vanes. He's pretty tanky though. He'll back himself out of here, eat some bad mojos. Good majo. I was gonna ask you about the Idris here as Dowsey's understudy. What would you say is the best build here for this situation like this?
I think you're going to want Poison Shiv at some point in your build path, so you can see that there's a build path working towards there for Iraqi Zoro, but you do want to get your heroic perk as quick as possible. I think Dowsey generally tends to go Poison Shiv, Zoro Blade, Tension Bow. So that seems to be the build path that a lot of, I think, Idrises are running with at the moment. And that's maybe where Iraqi Zoro is going to end up going. I think that's,
and nothing changes to this game because, like you said, I mean, he excels into like this typical lineup where like squishy targets is what he does best. It doesn't change like your build path necessarily.
Maybe you consider a Bonesaw if armor gets stuck up against, but I think it's fine to just go Sorrow Blade, Poison Shiv, and then Tension Bow.
All right, we'll see.
I mean,
what
else would you really change? You don't really get Breaking Point that often on Idris.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't often get too much critical strike because a lot of your damage comes from the use of your chakram, so you like to have that flat damage.
I mean, it's a tough choice. I don't know the answer necessarily right now. I mean, it's just one of those heroes that I personally haven't spammed out too much. I don't have the answer here, but we'll see. Raki, I mean, I think he's holding his own. He's down as far as farm's concerned right now, and we haven't seen the full struggle as was illustrated by our analyst quite yet. You know, we've seen him get caught in the Ordained Afterburn, but as he does unlock his heroic perk, or the path, the weapon path, he will have a couple more options to dance around the fights. I mean, he's going to have to be, like, really on it, though. Like, some highlight video stuff to get work done.
I also think we're going to look question at Xenotech reflex blocks. They weren't there last game, you know, against the Koshka ultimates, but he's got to be so on point with them this game, and once he gets it, he's going to have to be using them in the really key moments. We're going to have to keep our eye on how Xenotech ends up using that item. Build for I Love Joseph as well generally tends to be Shatterglass into Clockwork is what I've seen a lot of Batiste's build, and Shatterglass is so good, especially into this Gankstars composition, because again, it's a double squishy composition that you're dealing with, so Shatterglass has that much more efficiency. Baines jumps in.
Yeah, nice fight. I was actually looking up and there was a fight in lane as well. Vanes should be able to get himself out of here. Still has his ultimate if he gets himself in real trouble. Yeah, there was a fight up there and it was Old School finds the kill. There's fights happening in the jungle and up in the lane. Vanes is going to be stuffed up. I don't know if that was the play, bud. What are you thinking? Grumpy over the wall. He's stunned. Bad mojo. They find the kill, and C9 pick up 2 kills in completely different spots.
So close between Iraqi and Old School right there, but again, Iraqi Zoro on this Idris. Idris struggles with melee bruisers that are tankier than him and can hit just as hard, especially in the early mid-game, and Glaive ticks the box of both of those things, especially through his weapon power build path. And he's picked up the Poison Shiv as well, so Yeah, he's got a little bit of attack speed and reduces any potential healing coming through.
Oh! Did he? He had that reflex block before? I don't know. He blocks off the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, slaps Xenotech back, and says no. That was not find a kill onto Old School today.
I mean, Vayne's in these fights. Vayne's needs to probably try to stuff Gabe Bizzle, and then both Xenotech and Iraqi Zoro can look to burst. Isla Joseph probably is the way that they play this. I think that's the best way to look about it. It looks like.
Holy Nova, the fearsome shade is going to buy a little time as Joseph moves in. Old School with the afterburn, Xenotech a squishy target knockback. Xenotech still alive. Old School trying to trade with Vaynes, doing pretty well so far. Vaynes left out to dead. He'll go for the kill. He's going to trade himself out. Iraqi backing him up here, but Iraqi, it's time to go, bud. You're not going to hang around here with Vaynes down.
Waiting for Vaynes. I mean, Vaynes, there was already Old School was on the back foot there. He was on fairly low HP. And so they took a fight that wasn't quite in the camp for C9 right there. But again, in these fights, what I want to see Vaynes doing is he's trying to use his stuff onto Gabe Bizzle. As long as Gabe doesn't crucible it, and we know Graves got really good crucibles. We saw it from the Unified Live Championships. I think he had something like a 76% crucible hit rate, which is pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So if Vaynes can get the stuff onto Gabe Bizzle, then you can look to them burst a singular target, especially Isla Joseph, who will be the squishier of the two members between Old School and him. You have the ability to collapse very, very readily onto one of them with that combo with Iraqi Zoro. It's probably where they want to look to play this, because I think Gabe Bizzle offers too much as a captain to the team fights. Still in the fight, it'll be so difficult to actually burst. The same reason Grace had the impact in the last game for C9.
They know that they don't have the Grumpjaw ult, but they're going to go in anyway. They still don't have it up. Fearsome Shade's going to go and disrupt this fight. Idris trying to dance around, but he takes so much damage. You got to be careful. Bad move, just stacking up. Vaynes did a pretty good job to grab up Gabe Bizzle, but they can't follow up on anything. And this is just a pretty much full retreat at this point. Vaynes, is he trying to trade himself over? Iraqi jumps back in like miscommunication central station right here. Vaynes, he's gonna go down. Iraqi's gonna go down. Xenotech!
What? What just happened? It's like Gankstars were like, do we have the burst? No, it's not there. Yeah, okay, yeah, they all just fell on the floor. That was unfortunately a bit unfortunate. Unfortunately, a bit unfortunate. I think Vaynes could have tried to pull the trigger on his stuffed a bit earlier there, Humanist. I think that was a really late stuffed. By that point, by that point, Iraqi Zoro was already at below half HP. Xenotech had used a lot of his abilities.
He didn't have it. He pinged that he didn't have the ultimate right before they started that fight. It's insane.
That was just a mistake from Gangstar's point of view. They can't start a fight without having that ultimate on Vaynes. They can't start a fight without finding Gabe Bizzle, getting him stuffed, and then looking to try and collapse on one of the targets very quickly. That's the only way they win these fights. If Grace is up and ready and fighting, I don't think Gankstars had the damage to burst through the ultimate from Grace, especially now there's 2 points in it. It's a game changer. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. So either Vayne stuffs during the ultimate, or does it before that, right at the start of the fight, and then they can look to burst when Gabe Bizzle is currently out of action.
All right, let's see if you have Caster Cursed C9 here at this point. Chakram's going to come out, doing a little bit of poke, not really any life-threatening amounts of damage coming out of the Idris. So Vaynes is going to jump in, Grumpy, a little bit of AoE damage coming out. YCP is going to be blocked off here. Xenotech, got to be careful. Fearsome Shade disrupts the fight, just the touch. Vaynes is stuffed up, but they're not finding damage out onto Joseph. They need to do it all together. Idris jumps in, but he will go down. Double kill for Old School, and Vaynes should die on the back of this fight. It's a little... By grace, he will get away. Vaynes, the Grumpjaw, able to live through it. 11-3, 12.5 minutes in, and I mean C9 just styling on Gankstars here.
I mean, Gankstars Vaynes was looking for an opportunity at the start of the fight to get the stuff done to Grace, but again, Crucible came out, they were all clumping up, it made it very difficult to find and isolate that target using the Grumpjaw ultimate, and then by the time it had happened, it was already too late. The ultimate had been channeled by Gabe, he'd already used the fountain. It was just way too late in the fight for that stuff to take place, and then by that point, the dueling potential of C9, which is so high, they've got such a better elongated fight on their hands. The
cooldowns also, like the way that they're fighting, you could like towards the end of that fight, there was a point where Joseph could have been killed, but when Xenotech had jumped onto him, Iraqi was not quite ready to follow, and like just being off like half a second, 1 second as far as applying that damage, obviously is having an impact here now. You got to be careful. They're going to find the stun. Oh, and a bad mojo. Iraqi Zoro getting wrecked. And now Vanes taking a lot of damage as well. Is going to be stunned up as the Ordain connects. Gabe Vizzle over the wall. Finds some Holy Nova. And they find another kill. Xenotech just pretty much watching from the grandstands. There's nothing he can do.
In that situation, as Vanes, I would have just tried to stuff straight away. And at that point, then you could probably try and turn on to old school I Love Joseph. But again, Vane's reluctant to pull the trigger. I don't know whether he thinks he's going to get Crucibled or he's worried because Crucible is still up. But I would have just tried to pull the trigger. You were right next to Gabe Vizzle. You need some ungodly level of reflexes to be able to press that Crucible and try and block that stuff at the same time. It just feels like Gankstars are afraid to pull the trigger at the start of the fight because they're afraid of the Crucible coming out and then just losing it all entirely. But if you don't try, you don't take that shot, and that's the shot that you need to take. So you might as well try, right?
If you want to take the shot, you should try. You should try to take the shot. I know that they should attempt it at some point. You gotta pull the trigger. If you're scared to engage because you think you might lose the fight, but if you don't engage, you're gonna lose the fight. You don't have a whole bunch of options, really.
No, it's at this point in the game, you're just too far behind anyway. If you were more even, that would have been the way to play the fight. But at this point, you've got a turtle and try and get Iraqi Zoro to like a destructive build. But he's already at the 3 items that we talked about: Sorrow Blade, Poison Shiv, and Tension Bow. Kind of like the standard Idris build. He's already hit those items. That's sort of where Idris wants to be at the sort of the later stages of the game. He might go an extra weapon power item, but I just think he's probably too far off. I think at this point, C9 are just too far ahead.
Man, Gabe dancing around. Benediction, the War Treads to reposition. Joseph taking a bit of damage, but stands his ground, heals out. Fearsome Shade just tears that fight in half, and Gankstars split apart, just falling, splintering to pieces as C9 take the ace 16-3. And I don't know, I mean, they just broke them apart. Obviously, C9 is one of our top teams, okay? Maybe number one, maybe not. But they just made Gankstars look like a bottom 3 team.
Yeah, I mean, that is how I felt with North America for a while. Unless it's TSM, both of our top 2 North American teams make all the other teams look amateur. Almost. Because they are just that good.
Just that good. Well, we're going to look to see them close it out here. And just stack, pat on another kill, get that KDA up. Just so you make sure that your stats look good. Hey, why not? Bane Crystal's down, and that's going to be GG Cloud9. Impressive stuff.
Yeah, and Gankstars, they put up a good fight. Drafts were kind of a bit iffy, but C9 drafts were perfect, as we expect from Physics and the team. Execution was absolutely brilliant. And again, they played those fights so excellently.
All right, well, that was a pretty crazy game. C9, congratulations on that win. We'll see more from them later. But to break this one down, guys, we're going to throw this back over to our analyst desk. Guys, let us know what happened there.
I think the composition that we were talking about, the power composition of this meta happened 13-2-3 on Glaive. Like, old school absolutely dominated that game, but it's not like that was a one-man job. Every single team fight that was a 3v3, Cloud9 just showed a masterclass of how to play this composition.
Yeah, just really impressive stuff. Like Himna said, Cloud9 just looked like an absolutely dominant team, so much stronger than what Gankstars were able to muster this series. And